according to the armed forces, there are protocols or a military manual of ceremonies to be observed. Hold on, I'm trying to read this. When a former head of state or a person of national significance dies, we now speak with the spokesperson of the Armed Forces, Major General Edgard Arevalo. General Arevalo, good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Pia, and all our televiewers in CNN Philippines. Good evening. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, our soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines, under the leadership of General Cirilito Subihana, our AP Chief of Staff, joins the nation in mourning the death of former President and former Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
As Commander-in-Chief, the former President will be accorded several honors. Is that correct, General Arevalo? And can you itemize that for us? Tell us what the Armed Forces will do for him.
That's right, Pia. Starting tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning, there will be 8 guns or cannons that will be fired in succession starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's Reveille. And after an hour later, at 5:30, another one round will be fired, and it will be repeated every hour. So the next, after 6 o'clock Reveille, the first, after the 8 rounds of a cannon fire, there will be 1 round of cannon to be fired at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then every 1 hour thereafter until the hour of 5 in the afternoon, where there will be another 1 salvo and another round of 8 salvos in succession. That actually, the 8 rounds actually represent the 8 provinces that participated in the revolution at that time. And then at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, all available personnel at the General Headquarters of the AFP and other military units, as well as the cadets of the Philippine Military Academy, Philippine Merchant Marine Academy, and the Philippine Air Force Flying School will assemble, and the official notice of the death of former President Aquino will be read in their presence. On the final date, on the date of interment, on the date of the funeral, there will be 21 gun salute, Pia, and these guns will be fired in succession at 1 minute interval. And the first round in the 21 gun salute will commence from the time that the remains of the former president will be moved from the area where the necrological services were held until the time that he reaches the place of interment. So that's 21 gun salute at 1 minute each interval. And then the same ceremony or the same firing of cannons will be observed in other military camps within the country where there are available cannons and rounds of ammunition. And then such firing in other camps outside that are distant from the place where the interment was held will be done immediately after the interment has been completed or completed in the area where he will be buried. So yung area where he will be interred, Pia, is not yet known to us. And as soon as these data are made available, we are going to make the necessary arrangements to render these protocols and honors and ceremonies for the befitting a former president. And on the date of interment, our soldiers available personnel will be lining up the road to provide necessary honors to the president as his funeral is moved from the place where the necrological services were made or were done up to the place where he will be interred.
General Arevalo, kanina ang sinasabi nyo yung gun salute, no, at intervals of every hour, beginning tomorrow, like you said, at 5 a.m. People are going to hear this if they live near enough a military camp. Correct, sir? So,
That's
for example, Camp Aguinaldo, the Navy headquarters in Taguig, Army headquarters in Taguig, yung mga those living in the surrounding areas will be able to hear this.
Yes. As a matter of fact, our Chief of Operations, Major General Edgardo de Leon, has already issued a directive addressed to the major service commanders and the unified commanders. There are enumeration of camps. One is the general headquarters in Camp Aguinaldo, then the Army headquarters in Fort Bonifacio, the Air Force headquarters to the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City, the headquarters of the Navy, that's Fort Abad in Rojas Boulevard, and Fort Gregorio del Pilar, that's Philippine Military Academy in Baguio, plus the other 6 unified commands distributed all over the country, namely Northern Luzon Command, Southern Luzon Command, Central Western Command, Naval Western Mindanao Command, Eastern Mindanao Command, and Central Command. All 6 of them, unified commands, are also going to render this gun salute.
Are you going to be putting that on Facebook Live for the armed forces Facebook pages? Because, you know, given the pandemic, people don't necessarily go out of their homes, and maraming nakatutok sa social media. So it might be a good idea to do that, to put it on social media para merong mga makapanood.
Thank you, Pia. We're going to take into account that recommendation. As a matter of fact, with all these preparations that we're doing, with all the necessary protocols and drills and ceremonies that are to be accorded to the former president, we really necessarily have to abide by the requirements of protocol requirements with regard to COVID-19.
And General Arevalo, kanina binanggit nyo na nga na at 10 a.m. tomorrow, all available personnel in all those camps that you mentioned, GHQ, Aguinaldo, etc., no, all down the line, will gather, and an official notice will be read to them of the death of the former president. This is something that is done every time a former president and therefore a commander-in-chief dies. No, but can you tell us, you know, what is the how is that written? No, ano ba yung mga words na nandoon? How is that written and read out?
We are actually yet to receive, Pia, the notice of the formal notice of death of the former president. But typically, it talks about it makes an announcement about the circumstances of the death of the former president and words that befit his stature as former head of state, and other recommendation, other announcements, that are included in that particular announcement. I haven't seen yet a formal copy of it, but I would surmise that this would be the content here.
General Arevalo, I'm also interested in this. No, on the day of inurnment, are we going to see the cremains in the urn, no, placed in a, for example, a horse-drawn carriage? Are we going to see that? Will there be last taps? Will we see a slow march of the military escort? Yun po ba yung makikita natin on the day of inurnment? Or the burial?
Traditionally, yeah. Traditionally, that is how we conduct it. It's a carriage that bears the remains or the casket of the former president, and it will be brought, libingan ng mga bayani, it will be brought to his interment place, and then, as we said earlier, guns, salvo of cannon fire will be heard in 1 minute interval, 21 in succession. And at the precise moment that that last salvo has been fired, there will be a bugle call, bugle sound of taps, and then after which the casket of the former president will be lowered in his resting place, and ceremonies like that are usually observed in this kind of ceremonies. But considering the COVID-19 pandemic, we may have to make some modifications and some adjustments with regard to these ceremonies and procedure, Pia.
And one other feature we're going to see is the presentation of the flag to the family. In this case, I suppose the flag will be presented to his eldest sister, Balsi Aquino Cruz.
Yes, we're going to see that because that is part of the ceremonies that are rendered in ceremonial interment, like what is intended, what is going to happen according to our protocol. The Philippine flag that is draped in the former president's casket will be folded in a manner smart, and it will form an equilateral triangle, and that will be handed over to the most senior officer. At this time, it would be a general from
General. All right.
And it will be
General
given
Arevalo,
to
can you hear
him
me?
or her as a yes. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sige po. Go ahead po.
Yeah. It will be folded
All right, well-
ceremoniously into an equilateral triangle, and it will be the most senior.
All right. His signal, the signal of General Arevalo is... okay, so okay na
On behalf
ulit.
of a grateful
Teka.
nation. Opo. Yeah, and it will be handed to that person representing the family, and words like, please accept this symbol of our country on behalf of a grateful nation.
Yes, General Arevalo, you know those words, on behalf of a grateful nation. Many people have heard it before, but to the family of the one who died, you know, to hear those words and then to have the flag presented to you, that is a really big thing. General Arevalo, right now the cremation is going on at Heritage Park in Taguig, and that means the formal wake begins tonight. Are there honor guards already in Heritage Park?
I am sure that arrangements have already been done with regard to this protocol, because it is part of the ceremonies that we render to a person of stature, especially to a former president like President Aquino. Definitely members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines from the Army, Navy, Air Force will be taking time, each as they stand guard before the urn, in this case, of our former president, as part of the ceremonies that we render during wakes like this until the date that he will be interred.
General Arevalo, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? What else do we need to know? And you know, we really thank you for explaining all this tradition and protocol, and you know, and also to you know, taking the time to explain why these are important and what they mean, no, their significance. So, baka meron pa po kayong gustong idagdag.
Well, so far, Pia, what is important for our people to know is that we are going to extend all the necessary honors befitting a former president and commander-in-chief. Definitely, the Armed Forces of the Philippines will be rendering ceremonies and honors para sa kanya. We will be making necessary coordinations with other branches of service like the Philippine Coast Guard and the Philippine National Police, since this is a former commander-in-chief of all armed forces. So we will be taking turns in making sure that our nation will see that the Armed Forces of the Philippines and other armed services of this country is going to accord the former commander-in-chief and president the necessary recognition and ceremonies that befit his stature. Magandang gabi, Pia.
I hope you don't mind, General Arevalo. I just have
Sure.
one more question. No? Kasama din po ba ang Philippine National Police? Although, of course, these are military ceremonies, no? But is the Philippine National Police part of the ceremony? Do they have a part in any part of the ceremonies? And also, everyone remembers the burial of former President Cory Aquino in 2009. Of course, ibang-iba ang situation ngayon because of the pandemic,
Yes.
no? But everybody remembers what it was like, her casket on a truck with those
Yeah.
with those four honor guards. As in, tumatay yung balahibo ko just remembering
Yes.
it and thinking about it.
Me too. Me too.
Four
Yeah.
men representing the tama ba ako? Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines, no? And
Yeah.
hours, no? They stood there guarding her casket on the truck, on the flatbed truck for hours as it snaked through Metro Manila, from Manila Cathedral all the way to Parañaque.
Yes, Pia, we're going to make necessary coordinations with regard to this. If the Philippine National Police and the Philippine Coast Guard could be part of these ceremonies that we will render to the President. Yes, as you said, things might be different because of the ongoing pandemic, but we will ensure that what can be done befitting, in terms of honor that befits our former Commander-in-Chief, will be accorded to him.
Major General Edgard Arevalo, spokesman of the Armed Forces. Sir, thank you very much again for joining us tonight and for explaining so many things to us. Makes it all clear. It's good to know all the significance of all these military ceremonies. At the same time, huwag niyo pong kalimutan i-Facebook Live yun na lang kasi marami hindi naman makakapanood yan in person or live. Salamat po, General Arevalo. Thank you, sir.